Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Emiley, your go-to girl for marketing and mindset strategies that help solopreneurs and small business owners just like you to do amazing things online. I am interviewing Amanda from Plush Content Co. about what brand photography is all about. So she's a brand photographer, so she takes photos of products as well as photo shoots with service-based businesses as well. And in this video, she shares her tips for small businesses who don't have the budget for a brand photographer but want some ideas on how to actually create photos that get that engagement we all strive for on Instagram. You might be surprised what her number one tip is. This is going to be a goodie. Let's get into it. Hi Amanda, I'm so excited to have you on my channel. How are you going this morning?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Fantastic. So Amanda, you've got your brand photography business, Plush Content & Co. And I've seen your photos and they're incredible. And you also give your followers so many helpful tips and hints about Instagram strategy and photography. It's amazing. But how did you get started on this journey?
I had a blog about 2 years ago. It was actually a career and finance blog I was doing with another girlfriend of mine. And we needed imagery and we were using all the stock photos in the world. But at one point I was like, I need something to be original. So I just started taking my own photos with my really old Samsung S5, just really bad at the time. Terrible editing. But I kind of fell in love with the process and just collecting props around my house and putting it into a flat lay and just seeing what looked good. And then last year I was made redundant from one of my jobs and I was like, okay, this things needs to change. So I decided that I would start my own business, and initially it was just going to be in stock photography, but I found that it's not really something that I'm passionate about doing, just creating images with no kind of goal in mind. There's obviously a client in mind when you do stock photography, but there's not that specific goal there for me. So that's why I transitioned into product photography and now portraits and now Instagram management, and it's just been building on top of each other.
Amazing. Like stock photography, I wouldn't have even thought of that as being a career that a photographer might go down. Where did that kind of come from?
I think it was with when I had the blog, I would scour all these beautiful stock photography sites that just had amazing images because we needed images for the blog. And I was like, oh, they seem like they're doing really well from it. It looks really fun. But I found that it's something that is very time consuming to take that many photos and bring them out on such a consistent basis. Working full time, it's just, for me, it was impossible to do it. So I couldn't really build a business around that. And I think as well, I wanted to build it up quicker. And I think doing product photography and actually working with businesses and clients one-on-one, that was actually a lot easier to market myself to, I guess, and actually earn money from it, rather than trying to do stock photography and market that online and just put it out there.
Yeah, you almost need that profile already, and then people can follow you, and then later on down the track when you have a big following, you maybe have that as a product offering on a store or something like that, but it's not your main revenue driver.
Exactly. Yeah. It was like a too hard basket for me at the time.
Yeah, I totally feel that. So what do you love most about taking, your brand photos, whether that's for product or for service-based businesses or, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's you get to be a part of somebody else's journey. So I get to have an insight into what what the individual's goals are for their business, like their 1 year goals, their 5 year goals, where they see their business going, their lifestyle going. I get to know them on a bit more of a personal basis and actually build a relationship. And I just really enjoy having something physical, like in the product photography realm, having something physical and actually designing, working with their branding, or sometimes even designing their branding for them in a sense, and creating photography that will match what they're envisioning. So I think it's just more of a creative outlet for me in doing that. And it's just more fun.
So, what does the process of a brand photo shoot like? Like, take me through that process from when you first speak with the client through to actually taking the photos and then giving the photos back to the client.
I get a lot of my leads from Instagram. So usually I'll get a DM and they'll say like, I want to know more, like, or how much are your services? So I always like to convert them over to email. I actually hate doing business through DM on Instagram. That way I can send them my services guide. I can have a bit more of a chat through email, and I don't like I'm on my phone as much as it is, so I don't like doing business on there in that sense. So I'll always convert them over to email, and I'll get them to fill out a brief. So I need to know like how many photos they want, what their goal for the photo shoot is, what they envision, their branding colors, what props they want in the photo shoot. So it gives me a chance to ask questions that I need answers to so that I can give them the best possible photos. They'll then send the products to me. I will then do like a little planning session. So I literally just sit on my bed. I open up their Instagram, their website, get my notebook, my trusty pen and paper, and I'll just like plan out every single photo that I think will work for their branding. So I'll literally say like the product has to go in the middle of the frame. It'll be layered on top of a notebook with like a pillow coming out from a corner. I'll actually describe exactly what I'm envisioning in my head on paper. I find that when I started, I didn't do that. And when I came to actually do the photo shoot, I wasted hours trying to figure out what to do, like how to style it. I'd be sitting there like on Pinterest or Instagram trying to get inspiration. And I just got really frustrated and stressed at that process. So I think even if someone wants to do their own photo shoot at home, whether it's of them or it's of their product, the planning stage is the most important because it helps you get all your ideas out. And then once I've shot them, I'll edit them in Lightroom and I'll upload them to Dropbox and then send the client an email and say, hey, it's all up. If you need anything like re-edited or anything like that, let me know.
I love that you add so much structure to such a creative process. I think a lot of even people creating, stuff for their own business forget that the structure part of it actually makes everything a lot easier and saves a lot of time. And it means that when you you go to do it again, you have these ideas already in place, whether it's for the same client or another product.
Exactly. It makes it less stressful for you. And I mean, on the day, you want to let your creativity run wild anyway. But if you have those ideas initially in place, you can build on them. You can change it around, change your props, like get different angles, whatever works. But yeah, I think having that structure, it's definitely necessary.
Do you do that same sort of structure and planning for your portrait shots as well?
To a point, yeah. So I'll always give my client a brief. So I'll ask them questions and I'll always get them to send me through reference photos just so I can see like the type of branding that they want for their photos because they might want to change their branding from what they've previously had. And I'll always talk to them about like the importance of location. So if they're choosing somewhere where it's like kind of dark and gloomy, they're not going to get the best out of their photos. So I'd rather not shoot at those kinds of locations. Natural light is always best. Shooting outside, like actually finding the perfect location for your branding, even if it means you have to contact a cafe or like another venue where you've got to organize it with them, it's so worth it because lighting is everything. Like it is.
Are there any particular venues that you could just list off the top of your head that are always going to be good spaces to shoot at?
Like cafes are always pretty good because they do have a lot of natural lights, and most of them have like outside areas where you can take photos. It's just, I guess, getting the right time with the cafes, especially if you're wanting to shoot in the morning. You don't want really as many people in the shots, in the background. So I think it's kind of liaising with them and seeing what times work best. But I guess it really depends on my clients, and where they're based. So if they want somewhere close to their home, I'm happy to go and travel to them, either around Gold Coast or Brisbane. But yeah, I guess cafes would probably be a great one to start with.
So, with your clients, are they people that have done this sort of photography before, or are you finding that they're brands and businesses that are just starting out and don't really have a clue of where to even start?
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of a mixture of both, to be honest. I have worked with quite a few people where it is their first experience working with a photographer. So in that sense, they need a little bit more guidance, especially with their branding. And I'm always more than happy to work with them on their branding as well and try and bring out what they envision and then and then convert that into a photo. I have clients, who are very, very well established and they have used other photographers in the past. They're using me because they like my style or they need it like ASAP. I try and do a very quick turnaround for my clients. But yeah, it's very much a mixture of both. And I have clients who use me over and over again. So the process gets a lot easier. They know what to expect of me. I know what to expect of them. I don't really need to ask as many questions. So definitely a really big mixture.
Yeah, cool. So, with businesses on Instagram, obviously it's a big platform and everyone can kind of get started on there without having to invest in photography and stuff as well. But what are the things that you often see as like big mistakes that you see again and again that these small businesses are making?
There's a couple. I think the main one I see is that they don't edit their photos to the point where it actually presents their product in the best way possible. I think, like, I get that photography is an investment, and I have had people come back to me and say, I can't afford it. Like, I'm a small business. Like, I want to work with you in the future though. And I think that your imagery, especially if you're on Instagram and you know that you can build your business on Instagram, it is so important to either invest your time to learn how to do it or just hire someone to do it for you. Yeah, I see a lot of accounts where I can tell they've taken the photo with their iPhone and there's no editing whatsoever, or there's very limited editing that doesn't, again, as I say, highlight their products in the best way possible, because you put so much effort into it. Like, you've invested a crap load into buying your products, but if you can't then market your products to the point where like they don't look great, then it doesn't really make sense. So you've got to bring your marketing up to the level where you're attracting your dream client. And if you're not focusing on your lighting, your composition of the photo, and your editing, then you're not going to grow. I kind of think it's as simple as that. The other thing I see is that people don't credit photos that aren't their own. So if I work with a client, I give them a commercial license, so they don't actually need to credit me whatsoever. Like, the photos are theirs, they can use them as they like. But if you're using like stock photos where someone does require you to credit them, or even photos you find on Instagram or Pinterest, people might say like photo by Pinterest or something like that. And it's like, well, Pinterest didn't take the photo. So you might as well not say it. So I think that's the other thing that I see a lot of people do, that again, you can only educate people, so they'll still do what they want to do at the end of the day.
So, on that point of educating people, what would be like the top 5 things that you think a business owner could do to improve the photography on their social media, but also just their product photography or portrait photography as well?
Yeah. Watching YouTube videos is probably like the best place to start with learning how to do it. I've got a video on my YouTube channel where I actually take you behind the scenes of a product shoot. So I show my setup. Like, I have a really super basic setup. I have like two white big pieces of cardboard. I put them together. One is a light reflector that reduces the shadows. And I do it in like the corner of my bedroom. It's like so small. But
I will be linking to that in this video. So, yeah, I've watched that one. It's really, really good as well. It's a really nice insight into seeing that behind the scenes footage because you don't normally see how simple it is, you know? Like, you can actually do this stuff yourself as well.
exactly, and it doesn't have to be expensive. Like, some of the photos that you see in that video too, they're just taken on my iPhone. Like, I use my DSLR for all my client photography, but you don't have to have an expensive camera. You don't have to go and buy a tripod. You don't have to buy Lightroom. You can get like a free version of it on mobile. There are so many other editing apps you can use anyway. You just have to have like the right backgrounds. I literally, for most of my flat lays, I use a white quilt cover just because I like the texture and it's really white and I love it. You don't even need that many props. You can literally use what you find in your apartment or your house. So, I think as long as you get your lighting right and you plan out what your goal is for the photo shoot, how you want your images to look. I think that's why looking at reference images is really helpful as well. So I hop on Pinterest a lot and I'll just go through images that I love, of like product styling, so that if I'm kind of lacking creativity, I'll go to my Pinterest board and I'll look at it and be like, oh, that's like a really cool angle, or that's a really creative idea on how to portray that product. So I think it's also finding your inspiration for styling, getting the perfect lighting, and just not taking a blurry photo, and editing the photo afterwards and posting on your social media.
Amazing. Amazing. You've given so many tips. It's so helpful, especially for any businesses that are feeling like, I can't afford this. I want to try and do it myself. But what if someone was like, you know what, it just sounds too hard. I don't want to learn all this stuff. I just want to get a professional to do it. How would someone brief you? What's the best way to brief a brand photographer?
I think firstly you have to find out whether the photographer is going to be a good fit for you and your brand. So yeah, I guess a lot of people, they will just DM me, and I assume that they looked at my work, they like what they see, so they inquire about my services. Um, like I said before, most of the time, if they don't want to go ahead, it's because they're not quite there with the investment yet, which I totally understand. Like, being a small business, it's not exactly cheap. But I think it's just, you don't even have to know what you want. That's part of our job, to help bring out what you envision in your head, what you see for your brand, and where you want your brand to go, how you want your products to look. That's part of our job, to bring that out of you and establish that into a photo. So I think the best way is look at the photographer's work, see if you gel with it, see if you resonate with their style. We all have different styles. And then, yeah, just contact them. You don't even have to know what you want. That's totally fine. And then we'll kind of do the rest and take it from there. That's what a good photographer would do, is they would guide you through the process. You don't really want someone coming back to you and saying, oh, well, if you don't know what you want, I can't help you. Like, you want to help them as much as possible, even if they don't know what they want.
Amazing. So cool. So how can people find you if they want to either work with you or just see some more stuff that you're up to and watch your YouTube channel?
The best place is definitely my Instagram. So I'm always on like stories and showing behind the scenes. If you like want to see actual photos of my work, more of that is on my website. So I've got my portfolio up on there. That's just plushcontentco.com. But yeah, my YouTube channel, that'll have a lot more content coming out soon. I'm trying to get more like behind the scenes stuff going on and actually giving really actionable tips that people can use to do their own photography. Because like I said, it's either invest your time to learn or invest your money to get someone to do it for you.
Amazing. So great. And I think that because you're positioning yourself as that expert, it's just going to make people want to work with you even more. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today, Amanda. I really appreciate it. There's some amazing tips in there. But yeah, that's it for us for today.
Thanks so much for having me, Kate. It's so much fun. Thank you.
So how great is Amanda? I love that her number one tip was about adding structure and planning to your photo shoot. This seems like a no-brainer, but realistically, we get caught up in this whole, oh, I've got to photograph something. Let's just put this together and hopefully it works out. But then spend hours trying to create one single photograph. I know I've done it before, and I'm sure many of you have too. So hopefully these 5 tips that Amanda gave are going to help you out. I'm going to put them below in the comments box in case you need a little refresher. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you comment below if you have any experiences that you'd like to share about a brand photo shoot and what your challenges have been, whether this be you taking the photos yourself or working with a photographer. I'd love to hear your stories. So make sure you subscribe to my channel because I bring out videos every Tuesday. Lots of interviews like this one with total girl bosses, as well as tutorials, tips, and strategies for how to be more productive and get more out of your business. So that's it from me for another day. I will see you next Tuesday. Bye for now.